see him about?
Oh, no. I believe he is down in Wiltshire, visiting his mother and father, and also Mr. Nick. Well, he's not seen his mother and father for 18 months.
Oh, that's good. I wonder what he's up to.
Oh, he's probably doing something, just talking about stuff. Oh, I'm sure it'll be very boring. But what if it isn't boring? What if it's very exciting? What am I missing out on?
Oh, Yeti Uncle John.
Darling, it's the Shy Life podcast.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
Delicious.
This particular episode of the Shy Life is a little more abstract than usual.
Okay, it looks like the hairy guy is ready to record. 3, 2, 1.
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh my, he hasn't found out my secret. I think he has.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? I'm all right. So what is this episode going to be about? Well, it's going to be a bit of a different episode. The nearest I've got to a sort of travelogue episode in quite some time. It's it's all about my first trip back to Salisbury, my hometown, since the beginning of the pandemic. And it's literally, although you've heard her on the podcast via Skype, it'll be the first time I've seen my mum and dad since March 2020. So we'll be seeing them. We'll be seeing Nick and Ali, although we have seen them a couple of times in person. Well, actually more than a couple of times. I've seen them. Well, I've seen Nick 3 or 4 times, but even so, not in Salisbury. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a we'll see what happens. A journey, a bit of a trip out. Whilst technically we're being encouraged to do so. How long that will last, I don't know. So it's really a good opportunity to take the opportunity and head off. Shy Yeti goes home. Yes. All right, run that theme music and I'll be back in just a minute or two.
It's time for my old buddy, old pal from across the channel, across the pond, Paul Chandler, the Shy Yeti.
He's not that shy. Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast. Yeah.
All I wanted was a pie,
And then I hatched out of an egg. Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Boy, he's not all that shy, is right.
Blimey, Governor. It's the Shy Life podcast.
if you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life podcast.
He's positively glowing.
Well, listeners, I did promise you a diary episode this time, but let's just say that I didn't have the best journey down because the train was packed and I had a bad night's sleep. It was hot. There was a party going on. It was very loud, and I wasn't in the mood for recording. So I haven't done any of the journey to Salisbury, but I am here now with Nick, and
Hello.
It's the first time we've been in the same room together for
Yes,
a while. We've been in a railway station together quite recently, but not...
well, actually, we've been in the same railway station twice, but several months apart. But this is the first recording at our place I think you've done since very early 2020.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where one of the reasons we met this weekend was because the Pride 48 live streaming event, which we've done 2 or 3 times together now, and we weren't able to last year, and we had some technical problems, but we soldiered on through, and the podcast version will be good, and don't tell the live streamers because they've all gone away now. But I'm more worried about how it sounds to the I'm more worried about how it sounds for the podcast than I am about how it might sound when it's live, because you can't control that. But I can control the podcast version.
Yeah.
I can make it sound goodish. Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, as I say, apart from a very, very hot, it's been a very hot week, very stuffy at work, where ventilation is a desperate problem at work. Yeah. But it's the thunderstorm last night for 4 o'clock in the morning woke us up, and the air is a bit clearer. It's still a little bit humid, but it's not too bad. And it's your first visit, as we say, for about 18 months, and this is the first time you've seen things like the new sofa, which we've got, and we've had a bit of a move around as well, and we've got a new record player as well. There's a cover over it there. It plays all mediums, everything from vinyl, tape, CD to Bluetooth, everything, and of course we've got Blu-ray. And this evening, not so long time, we're going to be sitting down and watching some Blake 7. Just like old times, we'll be actually watching some stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm currently putting... The other thing that I've been doing this week is I've recommenced putting my old video films onto YouTube. So if you look up Nick Goodman, there's a Nick Goodman that's dead. Don't look him up. But there's all sorts of tributes to Nick Goodman. Then you realise you're dead. Yes, so there's my back catalogue is going on there. So just tune in and subscribe, and it'd be nice to see you. And I'm getting them up quite fast, and they're going down well.
And I actually travelled up here by taxi because although I'm seeing Mum and Dad tomorrow, I didn't quite know what time I was going to arrive, so I didn't want to muck them around to come pick me up just to take me. But I wasn't really able to walk all the way up there with my luggage and things. So usually there are loads of taxis waiting outside the station, and for some reason they really weren't. But one did eventually arrive. But
Ali was saying it's a bit nuts down in town at the moment, so maybe everybody's out celebrating. Our local pub is doing karaoke. They've stopped the restrictions now. Initially I did sort of sign up to it, but then this weekend came up, and it's slightly more important to see Paul, because I haven't seen him for ages. Not in domestic fame. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we deserve a takeout and a relaxing evening, I think.
Oh yes.
But anyway, well, if all goes well, I might even get back into a monthly or 6-weekly visit to Salisbury.
Like that would be terrific. Yeah.
Just have to see how things go, because you can never quite tell from the news what's actually happening and what actually isn't happening. But,
I've got my sister's coming down next month. I think on 21st. It's very. One thing I've noticed, actually, it's very, with the exception of yourself and herself, it's very difficult to get a hold of people because everyone's still got commitments. My friend Louise, who you've worked with on the films, she's looking after an elderly father who's had a stroke, and it's in a bad way. And I've said, you way not to come round, and we'll have an evening together. And she said, it probably won't be in August because I've got commitments with Dan. So again, I've phoned one of my I've messaged one of my oldest friends and said, I'm off here, there, and there, and you're around, and so I'm not free until August. So people are actually, I think people have got used to not being available, and it is difficult to get into that mind frame. And if things come up, you say, "Oh yeah," but it's difficult to kind of fit it in.
Yeah, well, it's difficult. Also, you get into whatever your normal is. Like, for instance, you've been working the whole way through, whereas a lot of people haven't. And I fall somewhere in between. I've spoken to a lot of people who have been like, well, my work site, we're not ever going to go back to normal. We're not ever going to go back to working in the office full time, or we're going to do like 1 day a month or whenever we need to. So that's some people's normal, and whereas mine is, well, they do want us to kind of go back to normal, but we haven't been. We have had long times when we've been at home. So everyone's got a different normal. So I can imagine if you've not been going to work at all, for 18 months, then you may not have been also doing that much at all for 18 months.
Exactly. We bought one laptop between all of us, about 50 of us. So it's impossible for people to work from home, at least unless it's one at a time. And even then, you can't really get people on the phone and organise things. And it takes some of the things in my work take a lot of rallying round to the staff and things like that, and it would be incredibly difficult to do.
Also, I don't know anybody who works in hospitals in whatever level. I don't know anyone who's been working from home who works at a hospital, unless they've really got serious.
Oh, and
health.
One of our consultants is working from home, but they're doing telephone consultations, so they've been only. So and they've got their system. The system kind of sent to their home, so they are actually able to work from home. So
I was able to use my own personal laptop to do, because our library catalogue doesn't have anything sensitive on it, even though we're a government thing. All the books we have in our library are stuff you could buy from Amazon. So I was able to do. Also, I was able to do lists of things and do inquiries, and still not cause any problems. So. But
I can access my work emails from home, but there's, apart from the advise on one or two, there's very little I can actually do without looking up things on the system and actioning them, and in some cases phoning patients.
Also, because you live in the same town in a walkable distance from your work, whereas
that's another big thing.
A lot of London workers have a big commute on top of it, and that was one of the
issues. All I see the only people I see on my way to work are dog walkers and just the odd one regular face that's going to work. There's plenty of space. There's a whole park to walk through, and there's no hugger mugger like it is on the underground or overground.
Anyway, well, we're back in Salisbury anyway, and next up probably I shall be seeing Mum and Dad. So I'm not quite sure what I'll be recording, but we'll see. And anyway, bye for now, Nick, and thanks for all the recording you've done today. Most of it elsewhere. Hi listeners, yes. Well, I'm at Mum and Dad's, and we've had a bit to eat, and I'm going to share with you a bit of our chatter, actually. Mostly my mum and I, but anyway, have a listen.
Well.
Sorry?
Have you got any water?
I've got a bottle in my bag, but what, like fizzy water?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got some.
Yeah.
Please.
It's still walking up the hospital each day.
Yeah. I think he does it every day.
Yeah.
Well, every day he has to go to work.
In his place, a good couple of miles, isn't it? Good stride out in the morning.
But he worked all the way. He's worked all the way through being at the hospital. So.
Yeah, what, through the pandemic and that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you want to have some water to take back, so you just leave it there.
Yeah.
Nick won £100 at the bingo on Friday.
Oh, did he?
So we got.
So you got treated, did you? Huh.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we just went to the place down the road. Well, we didn't go. That he went and picked it up.
He went and picked it. Yeah. Ah.
Where does he do that? Is that the that pub?
Yes, the one near the beaches.
Pardon?
Yeah, the one near the
What's
beaches.
it called? I tried to look at the name just this
It's
morning.
got it's got two names. The Dust Hole and
Dust Hole, that's right, yeah.
and then I think it's got two names though. I think it's the Dust Hole it gets mostly called.
Yeah, they've been going there years, haven't they?
Well, that's because
You just move.
of Nick grew up in that same street where Harry grew up.
Yeah, the beaches, yeah.
Beaches. Yeah.
There we are.
Cool.
What was the train like?
They're really busy.
Was it? Because I wonder, because did Annie get you a...
No, because I was earlier than I thought I was going to be. By the time they looked at their phone, I was almost there.
Oh, right.
But
So you just waited, or did you call?
no, I didn't know that it was going to be so busy.
How do
That
you
they
spell a
wouldn't.
T? Is it T-E-E or T-A-L?
T-E-A.
I didn't realise it was going to be so hard to get one. Usually they're you're having to when I'm looking for Dad, you're sort of you're like no, get away.
No, there's usually about 6 signed up. But I thought afterwards, because how did you have to come up that ramp?
No, because they came in on.
Oh, well, that was something.
They came in the other platform, so that was good.
Yeah, because I was thinking if by the time you struggled up that ramp, if the train was full, they could easily have taken the ones that were waiting, couldn't they? Perhaps they've all been pinged.
I just thought it would be quiet. I mean, because even the commuter trains are quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat in the doorway, so I didn't even bother. But the trouble is, those seats, they're not that well upholstered.
No.
By the time you sat on them for an hour, you begin to notice you're sitting on them for an hour.
Yeah.
I did sort of change and find a seat after Andover, but by then it's not irrelevant. Really.
No.
I did a search for going back home, and later, and it was all sort of going to Clapham Junction, then you come back to Woking, and then I thought there's not engineering works, is there? And then I realised it had somehow got your journey must involve Clapham Junction.
Oh, right.
So it's like if I was going to Glasgow, it would
yeah.
Or if I wanted to go to Exeter, we go. Well, you have to go back to Waterloo. I think what? So it's only when I went back. No, it's totally normal. If anything, it says there's two. Well, no, I think it says there's 2 trains an hour, but I think that might be. Maybe if you go via Southampton. No, so it's still the 27. The 27 one is the one to go for. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they said this is going to be a busy weekend for the road. I don't know about that because of it being a school holiday start.
I mean, it looked very normal in Salisbury when I went through in the taxi.
Yeah.
It looked because I don't know. I've not been to a town centre. I think I'd still wear a mask in a town centre. When you're walking past shop fronts but I'm not very likely to go. I'm not. When we go into Victoria Waterloo Station, you're supposed to wear a mask anyway. So that's the nearest I've been to lots of shops. or shops.
Well, I certainly want to in the shop. So whether you keep just taking it down, it depends if you're in and out of shops.
I think I would be wearing one in a shop, but I don't have much cause to go in the shop. So.
No.
Hello, pretty kitten.
Who's this?
Who's come? That's the Meggie.
Oh, Meggie.
Hello, Meggie.
I was wondering how Bethan...
Hello.
Hello, Meggie.
I haven't seen you for ages.
Yeah, she's a rubber.
Yeah, that's your... Yes, we haven't used the mice yet from Christmas because we'd already got those, haven't we? Yes. And they're dirty, look, but they were that colour. They haven't made them dirty, which I thought was rather unfortunate. That's it, yeah.
She rubbing him.
Yeah. You're scaredy tail still, aren't you?
Funny old thing, aren't you?
Megan? Yeah, you shampoo your toys.
Can't see down there.
So you got started all right with the podcast, did you, on time?
Well, hello. Come on.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're a fussy girl, aren't you? Eh? Oh, she's still mean with those kittens. If they appear, she sort of sniffs them, and then if they, oh yeah, that's one of mine.
Like you waving you around her.
I didn't put it. Well, that's what she does. That's what she does to her kitten. She goes up and sniffs noses, and I say, "There you are. Be good kittens. You know, well, good cats." And then suddenly she, and they just look at her. Yeah, I say, "That's your mum, isn't it?"
It's a good thing you're not like that.
Yes. There is some food there.
You're not a motherly type, dear, are you?
No. What's she doing?
And yet she is the only one who speaks to me. So.
Yeah, she's always been very. Where are you going?
She likes humans. Maybe she thinks she's a person.
She's been always very friendly with visitors. You know. But, whereas the kittens have been nervous, but then she must have been in the house. And another funny thing she does.
No kittens. We ain't got any kittens.
I know, but they're
always
still
kittens. Deals is my kitten.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd go and see him.
She might, but...
What about Beth?
No. But, yeah, you put some food down, you know, top up the dish or something, the bowl. And if she's around, she always comes and has some. And she often grabs a mouthful and runs and puts it on the mat in the kitchen. And that makes me think that she was either in the house with other cats or even a dog, you know, and she used to grab hold of her food, or, you know, fresh food, that's mine. But I mean, that's more of a thing that a dog would do, isn't it, really? We've never had a cat do that before. So we find, you know, we didn't realise at first, but wondering why we're finding bits of these. She doesn't the soft cat food, it's only the biscuits. Finding these biscuits the other side of the room. Why did they get there, you know? Not quite eating them all.
Toby found Dealey cuddled up on my bed amongst my teddy bears and my duvet and everything, which I probably hadn't made before I left for work.
I'm sure you hadn't, no. I was wondering if he had gone yesterday, how Dealey would have been with having the house empty. Because he hasn't had it much, has he? You know, Toby might pop to the shops sometime when you've not been there, but otherwise he hasn't been there.
Apparently he was cross. I didn't come home last night. He noticed because he expects me to come. He expects me to come back. You know, if I go to work, I come back.
Yeah.
This was the first time I'd not come back
for
ages.
17 months. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you came here into February, didn't you?
I'm not even sure I didn't come in the very early March, but...
It might be, it was certainly pretty well... It must have been a fortnight before the lockdown, because we'd already started locking down ourselves the week before they actually announced it. So I think it might have been the last week in February you came, the last weekend. So that's 17 months.
Well, I can. The only reason I think about sorry.
And you don't look a day older.
Oh, that's relief.
That's what, if Graham comes, because it's 2 years since we've seen him, I thought, they both come and I think, oh dear, they've aged.
No, you don't look any different either. I think people don't necessarily change that much.
No, it tends to go in sort of phases. So you don't see somebody for 6 months and they seem to have suddenly aged, whereas then they can have a year or two of not changing much at all.
Yeah, Nick's they're only doing one service, so he wasn't going until when he goes. So we got to have breakfast together.
Yeah. What time did you go to bed?
Before midnight. We watched Blake 7 last night.
Oh right. Yeah.
Which I asked for, but I didn't want to start from the beginning. I wanted to start from a particular point. But I said we could watch it in order, which I don't usually do, because it's too conventional for me to watch things in order, unless it's something. If it's something I've seen before, I don't like. Well, obviously, if it was a Doctor Who story, I wouldn't watch episode 3 and episode 1, but I wouldn't necessarily want to watch
when it's right to start.
All of the
they often set the idea of it, don't they, rather than do too much.
Well, they didn't used to do story arcs. They didn't used to do story arcs back in the day with things. It's different with Doctor Who though, because they're 4-part stories or 6-part stories or whatever. But I said, because you're not used to me choosing things in order, the fact that I'm choosing something in order, it gives you the element of surprise. So I'm still being unpredictable. I'm still being unpredictable because you don't expect me to be predictable. So now I'm not being unpredictable anyway.
Did you have any storm the night before at home?
I wasn't really aware of it. No.
We had a lot of lightning, a few rumbles of thunder, but it seemed to go on for quite a long time, but it did actually keep us awake because...
I wonder if it was worse in Salisbury, because Nick said he was kept awake by the thunder.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, but it obviously was quite near because they had a house damaged, I think it was a house, in Andover, and they had a semi-detached house in Romsey. The roof caught fire, and it went all along the roof and into the next door neighbour's roof. And of course it's the middle of the night, but nobody was hurt and that. But God, I go to bed, and I mean, you don't really think because there's much to worry about with thunder and lightning. You might get a power cut. That's about it, don't you? But to wake up and find your roof's on fire, awful. I mean, it wasn't anything like a thatched roof. It was an ordinary tiled roof, like modern houses like that.
You asked about the live show, and I didn't get to say it. We did have hiccups. I think it was possibly because we were the first show on. It kept cutting us off and going back to what they have as an emergency, which is what. Well, I mean, I would have thought that for 95% of the week, all they're playing is shows who are on that channel. Just in the so they've always got something going out, and that's what it kept defaulting to, whatever was playing. But I don't think Nick went and looked, and it said the internet was fine. So I don't know. We weren't pressing anything wrong. In the end, I had to talk to the guy on Zoom, and I think he put our feed onto somewhere else, and people were able to hear it. But then we had problems where, well, to be fair, Nick was sitting sort of to the side. I just thought it would. I mean, we don't use proper microphone. We do it off the computer. I mean, usually I don't really do the live shows anymore because you only get the people you get anyway. You only get the time we do it. So I haven't done one since Christmas live, and they said they couldn't hear. They could hear me fine, but they couldn't hear Nick. And then I said to Nick, "Can you come and sit next to me?" thinking it would be this, and they're still saying they couldn't really hear it. And I wondered if it was a bit of a backlog on, like perhaps they hadn't got to the bit where it hadn't caught up with.
No.
And then we moved the table like a tiniest a centimetre. Oh, that's brilliant! I can hear you. I was like, really? I can't imagine that made a big difference.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure. We did sort of keep on with what we were wanted. I knew these things go wrong, so I didn't want to make it complicated. So we had some of those look-in magazines. Like Nick had Look-In, but a few years before me, and I used to get Look-In in the early 80s, and it was like a TV magazine with comics and pop music and stuff. We quite often, so I'd ordered some from eBay for about a tenner, about 10 of them or whatever, and he had one and I had one. It was both from the same year, so we sort of turned to page 2 and said, what comic strip have you got on here? And we were sort of, it's Charlie's Angels. So we were sort of talking about old TV, really. But
so how long did you do it for? 2 hours?
Just an hour. But then with all the hiccups as well.
Yeah.
We recorded a bit after we'd finished. We decided we'd do because my original plan was to do 2 magazines each. So we did a quiz.
Yeah, because your dad said, were you going to do any washing? I said, no, I always do washing on Tuesday. He said, well, I thought you might have some for Paul. I said, no. So we got the Chinese, so what I thought he'd do is, I was going to heat them up in the microwave, but then I've still got to do each lot in there, and I'm not quite sure whether those containers are so good in the microwave, whether they might exude something. I mean, they're not going to melt, but so I thought if I put them out cold, and then we put it on a plate, and then I'll heat the plate, and I'll keep them warm then in the oven. So because otherwise they'd be 12 minutes probably. So I usually, when I heat them up, give them about 4 minutes each. So you would have finished yours before I started mine. So I thought if I did it like that, heated it up and put it in the oven just to keep warm, it would be better than than heating the individual dishes. We didn't buy a tremendous lot. We were quite surprised actually, because I mean we haven't had it for, well, it must be getting on for, I don't know whether we had it the last time you came, but we might have done. Can't remember.
Sometimes it's promised, and then when I get here, the plans have changed.
So I rang her at 5 yesterday. I said to her, Dad, well, you don't want to leave it till after we've had our tea, because that'd be when everybody, they'd be busy on a Saturday night, and that worked very well, because she said, it'd be ready in 20 minutes. So he went at 5:30, and he got parked outside okay, and picked it up. So it's, as we weren't going to eat it then, that worked quite well. We got the menu, but of course we didn't know whether they changed it. So I said to her, set menu C for 3, and it was exactly the same, and it was the same price. That wasn't. I haven't bought as much as we will eat it all up, because I thought, well, we just have because we used to spend about 50 quid on it, but it was 31. That's with chicken sweet and sour, the beef, chicken with cashew nuts, and enough portions of rice for 3. So it's not a banquet. Is Toby going to cook tonight, or?
I think we've got salad and meatballs, so I can have as much as I like, or how much I feel like, because it'll be expected that that's what I take for lunch tomorrow as well. So
I've got a small pot of raspberry jam, but you can take it in August if it's easier, can't you?
How small?
Yeah, it is only yeah.
I might be able to get it in.
I've got plenty of courgettes.
Well, I might be able to leave something that I don't think I'll need anyway. Like a t-shirt or something. Next up, Mum and I went out into the garden and I took some photos, and she updated us on what's been going on out in the garden. Hello listeners, I'm in the garden at my mum and dad's house. It's not the nicest weather, but it's not raining at the moment. It's not July weather, but plans to sit outside I'll get wet, but at least I can. Mum's here, she might tell us something about the garden. What's this thing? What's this?
How
Is that
willow herb.
Is it meant to be there? Or
Well,
is it something that's nice?
a weed, but we like it.
Oh, that's fine. I've not seen it before, that's all. It's tall and spindly.
3 years.
It's tall and spindly with pink flowers. Are those little
Willow herb, it's called.
are those pods? Like coming off the plant. Is that a pod that you could give me? And I don't think Toby would like that in our house.
No. No, I don't know why it has those. Because it's not the kind of flower, is it? It's lovely. And then we have cucumbers, tomato plants, aubergine, chrysanthemums, sunflower at the end or behind the garage. Then our screen for the weedy bins, but the sweet peas didn't perform. Never had such bad sweet peas. Anything? Honeysuckle?
The wisteria has been a victim of its own success. It's over would you say that's a trellis, a wooden trellis that's about 10 foot? Is that 10 foot high?
Yes, possibly, yes. The beam just broke, went rotten there.
Yeah.
And only 6 weeks ago, 2 months, I was standing giving the gardener his coffee, and I looked at that and I said, "That doesn't look very good." "Oh, that's fine, Mrs. Chandler, don't worry about that." And then a week ago...
You've made Mike the gardener sound like he's had 100 there. He's actually my age, or younger.
Yeah, well...
Maybe he does sound like that. I haven't heard him speak for a long time.
He's going to... So, one came... Your father got one of these cross pieces off of there, because that isn't rotten, you see. It's just that it hadn't got anything to sit on. So eventually the other one came down, and we've got two which could come down now, but I don't think they will. Yes. So these are my baby wisteria that I've grown from the seed. Would you like a baby? And my lupin plants, which don't look so good. But,
And what's these ones?
they're busy lizards. Busy lizards.
They're white and red, mostly.
Yes. And your dad was quite sure they were salvias, because it said salvias on the stand. He came home and I said, "They're not salvias." They said it was something.
They're trying to pretend to be something else. Some roses.
Yes, they're the roses that
Are they not the ones?
bought me for Mother's Day.
Oh, they're those ones. They are those
Yeah,
ones.
so they've bloomed again. And this was a plant that Gavin gave me with some others after I'd had my operation 3 years ago. And I put it outside. I take it back in again, but it lasts such a long time. It's like a mini tree with red flowers.
Being dripped on. That looks like there should be a frog living in there.
Yes, I'm not going to get a water lily.
Oh, it is a water
It's a water lily, yes. I'd hoped it'd cover it all over, but I have had flowers on it, but...
We have had frogs in the garden as well, because we used to...
Yes. That was the crevice where the
Oh.
frog had got its head stuck in it. But we had a small frog leap across here the other day. Let's go further.
We used to go looking for tadpoles I did bring some tadpoles back once, at least once.
We had a little bath thing over there, didn't we?
It used to be up there. It used to be further up the garden.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think when it first came. What's happened to the smell? Is that the smelly plant?
Yes, that's the remains of it.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
It had its
It doesn't
moment.
last very long. It's only about a week.
Which is a relief.
I wonder if it'll pick up the singing.
There's a church service going on next door. My dad's there. We're the heathen side of the family, the humanist side of the family.
This has got a little bit overgrown just here.
Poppy pods.
The nice pink poppies. Still haven't cut the dead stems off the foxgloves, but at least they'll set seed for
What are those?
lupins.
Oh, they are lupins.
Yes.
I was going to say lupins. I was.
No plums this year, I'm afraid, or apples, because we had late frosts. So it's the sort of natural part of the garden, shall we say, up here. It gets round eventually.
And what were those when they were flowering?
Foxgloves.
Oh, foxgloves. Yeah.
They just set themselves.
Couldn't work out what they were without any.
To go up here.
I used to have is that a beech tree? What's that tree?
Ash tree.
Ash tree.
Yes.
Did have a swing off that tree once.
Yeah.
How do we get the rope up there?
It seems to have grown very, because now the other side, next door neighbour's got the eucalyptus, and it seems that our ash tree has caught the eucalyptus up. It's almost bigger.
What's that out there? Is that what's in the fields?
The remains of rapeseed, which they make rapeseed oil.
We talked about that.
It soon.
Did it go all yellow?
It's the yellow flower, which lasted quite a long time. Yeah, and then you get a horrible smell of sort of rotting cabbage for a bit when it's, and then now it's all dried.
Is that a thistle thing?
They're artichokes.
Well, that's what I thought, but
they will collapse a bit, but I like to leave them because I can't be bothered to eat them. They're too fiddly.
Is it the top bit you eat?
Yes, but only a small part of it. And the bees love the flowers. They're great. They are like thistles when they come out. The flowers, purple, but they do get knocked around by the wind a bit.
Are those bushes anything special?
I don't know what they're called. They have the white flowers. And you've got garlic, onions, cabbage of some sort, can't remember.
What?
Few lettuces.
The lettuces. Lettuces in the wild.
Leeks, sweet corn, potatoes, a few strawberries, radishes.
Strawberries used to be nearer the front.
Yeah.
See a snail. Go away, snail.
Spring onions, beetroot, 2 rows of carrots.
So that was very rude to the snail. He shouldn't go away. It's his garden.
Parsnips and sweet peas, more courgettes. Then another part of the wild garden. And then sumac, which is surviving. It looks quite healthy on the outer parts, but I fear we get a high wind, particularly if we get a high wind when there's the canopy of leaves. That's the dangerous part, but there's another one growing there.
Didn't you have a sumac in the front garden?
Yeah, and we had that a good few years. Bought it from Cambridge because Uncle Dennis had one. And then that's the bit that we let Ray down the road use. And that's the remains of our Christmas trees.
There's a forest down there.
Yes, I used to watch you and, well, not used to much, Elena run through them. Because we had 25 of them. And now we're down to 2, 3, 4, 6, I think, but they're all too big for... We had the last one as a Christmas tree this year, but these have all got too big. Unless you take the tops out of them, but...
It is. Tall as the house.
It was pretty big, too big the one we had this year. But whether, because that one's got 2 stems, that one has, whether we just nip off a bit of a stem. I mean, we haven't actually bought Christmas trees for 20 years. So I think it was quite a success in a way. I think it cost about, we had 25 of them. You couldn't order less than that. I think it's cost
of the Cheltenham Woods.
This is the Black Forest, this is.
Oh, leave me alone, lost. Haven't been down this bit of the garden for 25 years.
That was the one I was thinking was going to be all right to have indoors, but it has grown. It's really taken off this year. But again, it's got 2 stems, so I'm a bit tempted just to, get a bit taken out. It's not going to damage the tree, and stick that into a pot.
How are we going to find a way out of the woods? We've reached a dead end.
They're a bit scraggly at the tops, aren't they? But I think it's because that's new growth. All those thin bits are new growth.
You could donate these trees to have them in Trafalgar Square.
But this is lovely, this one.
Yeah. Will we find our way back through the forest? I'm going to stop recording mostly. I'm going to stop recording next and take some photos, and I don't think I can do both. So, what's the tree down here? What's that tree with the birds on?
Again, I don't know. It has nice white flowers.
Oh, it's just a flowery. It's not a fruity tree.
No.
And what are these briar roses?
They're used for hedging. I think we put about 4 of the pink ones. But they're
take some photos. Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a bit of a journey, a little bit of a diary episode. Getting to record outside, I've not been able to do that for quite a while, so I hope it was fun. And I'd like to do some more. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I've actually got 2 weeks off coming up soon. My usual sort of 2 weeks off in August. So that's about a fortnight away, although it'll be probably closer by the time this episode comes out, depending when I release it. But at the moment I've not got a lot planned for that holiday. It'll probably more a case of recording. If I do record, it'll be recording with people on Skype, but well, we'll see. We'll see how hot it is for a start. But technically I am supposed to be going back to Salisbury during those 2 weeks off for a dentist appointment, but I haven't completely decided. It's a long story. We'll just see what happens. Anyway, at least I'm glad we got this episode recorded. And right, well, I'll say goodbye for now. And we've got plenty of episodes in the can. So but I'll have a think and see what I'm going to release next. All right, you take care. Join us again soon. And bye-bye for now. Bye now. Bye. I gotta go now. Bye.
I want to talk with you.
Gotta go. Bye.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear, what's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
Tuppy, I think that was a wonderful episode by Paul, don't you? Oh my God. I sure do. Boy, I'm telling you, I really do. No, that was good. All right, dear. No, seriously, that was a great episode. Tuppy.
Well, that's about it. Time to head back to Woking, back to Dealey and Toby, and yeah. Well, it's a strange, dull, muggy day, but it's been good to be back, even if only briefly. But hopefully I'll be back in August. Hello, little cat. My favourite cat has come. My favourite cat in this part of the world, Megan. Yes. She gets so excited she wiggles. But anyway, I need to get a wiggle on.
That's perfectly normal on the Shy Life Podcast. Perfectly normal.